In this video, we're going to do an introduction to polynomials. So let's begin with an example of a polynomial. The function f of x equals 7x to the fifth plus 3x to the fourth minus 9.25x squared plus 11x minus 12.6. This is a polynomial function. Okay, the degree of this polynomial is 5. Okay, we have this 7x to the fifth. 5 is the highest power of x that appears anywhere. So 5 is the degree. The leading term, that's the term that has the highest degree, okay, is 7x to the fifth, and the leading coefficient is just the coefficient of the leading term, which is 7. Okay, now notice, in order to have a polynomial, each of these exponents here, 5, 4, 2, 1 here, it's really like a x to the 0 on the end here, because that's just 1. Each of those exponents has to be a positive whole number. Okay, you cannot have a fractional exponent like 1/2. Okay, you also cannot have a negative exponent like -3. All the exponents have to be positive, but you're allowed to have as many terms as you need, and each of the terms will have a coefficient. Now the coefficient could be 1, but each of the terms has a coefficient. Okay, the leading term is just the term that has highest degree, and that term here was 7x to the fifth. Now it is not necessarily the first term that appears in the formula. Okay, let's take a look at an example. The polynomial g of x equals 5 minus 2x to the eighth plus 4x cubed. That's a polynomial. Now the highest degree that we see here anywhere is 8, and in fact that means that the degree of the polynomial is 8. The leading term would be negative 2x to the eighth. Even though it's not the first term that appears, the first term that appears is 5, the leading term is the term that has highest degree, and the leading coefficient is the coefficient of that leading term, which would be negative 2. Okay, let's fill in this table. I've listed some polynomials here, and each of these polynomials has a degree and a leading term and let's move this table over just a little bit here. Each of these polynomials has a leading term, a degree, and a leading coefficient. So in this first polynomial, 3x to the fifth minus x to the fourth plus 7x squared plus 1, the degree of the polynomial is 5. The leading term is 3x to the fifth, and the leading coefficient is 3. Okay, a degree 3 polynomial is said to be a quintic polynomial. Okay, a quintic polynomial. Now, the next one is a degree 4 polynomial. It's a fourth degree polynomial. That's called a quartic. Quartic, kind of like quart, you know, like 4 quarts in a gallon. A quartic, Q-U-A-R-T-I-C. Quartic polynomial. The leading term is 9x to the fourth, and the leading coefficient is 9. Okay, the next one is a cubic polynomial. It is a degree 3 polynomial. The degree is 3. The leading term is x cubed. Okay, what's the leading coefficient? Well, it's the coefficient of the leading term. We don't see anything up front here, so the leading coefficient is just 1. Okay, the next one is a degree 2 polynomial, and we've already talked about degree 2 polynomials. Degree 2 polynomials are called quadratic. Okay, quadratic polynomials. Okay, the leading term is negative 6x squared, and the leading coefficient is negative 6. Okay, we've also talked about degree 1 polynomials. This is a degree 1 polynomial, 3x to the 1 plus 5. And degree 1 polynomials are also called linear functions. Okay, they're linear functions or linear polynomials. They're degree 1. The leading term is 3x, and the leading coefficient is 3. And finally, we have a constant. Okay, now, by the way, you might think polynomial, poly means many terms, but actually your polynomial might just have one term. Okay, 7 is a polynomial, or x to the 9th, just that all by itself. That's a polynomial. Okay, as long as you have at least one term, okay, it could be considered a polynomial. Now, this has degree 0, okay, and a degree 0 polynomial is also called a constant polynomial. Okay, the leading term is 7, and you could kind of think of it as really 7x to the 0 power, but the leading coefficient would also be 7.